Okay, for those of you who are taking thesis seminar, I want to create this short video to show you the steps and things to consider when you're moving your document from Google Drive to Microsoft Word. I would recommend doing this at the very end of the writing process once you've made all the last minute changes to wait and do this until the very end. So try not to make any changes to text on your Word document. Try to make all those changes in the document itself in Google Drive. But before we do that, I want to talk about a few things that we haven't talked a lot about over the last few weeks. One is the header. And I know in the template it shows a running head, and I would suggest not using the running head because technically the running head is only on the title page, so not to confuse matters with having a separate heading for the title page versus the heading that we have throughout the rest of the document. We'll just be consistent and use the same heading for all the pages. So what I would recommend is deleting running head and writing your title, that is the first up to the first 5 words or so, in upper and lower case. And I would do this on the very first page, the title page, so that it shows up on all subsequent pages. So again, remove running head and type the title of your paper. So whatever title you have here, the first 5 words or so, using upper and lower case. Obviously make sure the data is complete on your title page. And we have our abstract. Now one thing I want to draw your attention to, all level 1 headings should be centered to the page. And notice here we have all of our tab setting all the way to the left. So make sure that those tabs are all the way to the left whenever you center your level 1 heading, because sometimes we forget to do that. So let's look at this. This is a level 2 heading. Level 2 headings and level 1 headings, make sure that the slider bars are all the way to the left. So level 2 headings, remember, are all the way flush left, and same way with all level 2 headings. So you may have to go through and check your document to make sure that all the level 2 headings are all the way to the left. So again, here's another one, and you'll need to check throughout your document. And also, occasionally we forget to make the change to other level 1 headings. So for example, method is a level 1 heading that should be centered to the page. So make sure again that the slider bar is all the way to the left so that it is centered to the page. Again, level 2 headings all the way to the left. Okay. Make sure that there's equal spacing between paragraphs. So notice that there's more spacing here, so we want to eliminate that. And also, check your document to make sure that you have equal spacing between the paragraphs and the headings. You can do this by selecting the text. In this case, I selected the prior paragraph along with the heading along with the next paragraph. And you'll notice here that there's an option to remove space before paragraph. So make sure that you have selected this. Notice how it brings this up. And what you should see is this. You should actually have an option to add the space. So this tells you that there is no space between the paragraphs. You need to check all paragraphs and all headings for this setting. For example, here this is okay. Here we'll have to remove the space. So you're going to have to go in and really select all the text. And here, for example, we need to remove the space before and after. And so what that'll do is it'll bring equal spacing between the paragraphs, and that's what we want to do. So you might just select the entire text and make those changes, or go through section by section. But do check that off so that there's no additional spacing between paragraphs and headings. Those are the basic formatting changes that I would make here, making sure that you do that prior to moving it to Microsoft Word so that it's all done, that you're not making any changes in Microsoft Word. The only changes that I would make in Microsoft Word at this point, or at the very end of at the end of the process, would be if you have images that don't really appear as you want them to appear in Google Drive. So then in Microsoft Word, then you can go through and make those changes to make sure that the the images or tables or graphs are presentable, or they are as you would like them to be. One last thing here I noticed, make sure that any personal communication that you have as citations, make sure that you list the date completely and in this format. So it's the month, the day, comma, and then the year. Okay, so I think everything else should be pretty much good to go. Make sure that you don't have any blank pages. This is okay here, but some of you have blank pages that you may want to get rid of or eliminate. Make sure you have equal spacing. Notice here you have more space between this reference and this, so you make sure that you double space between references, single space within each reference. So this would be single space, this is correct, and then double space between each reference, just like, basically like this. This is how I would check all of them. I would go through each one of these and make these changes just to make sure that the spacing is correct. So that's how this should look. So you have double space between each reference, single space among each reference, and just double check each one to make sure, for example, you don't have more space like here and here. Okay. And I think we have some space here as well. Okay, now once we've done that and we've made all the changes, then we're ready to click on File and Download As, and we want to open this up as a Microsoft Word document. So when you bring this into Microsoft Word, it should appear pretty much as it appears in Google Drive, but again, then you can go back and make any changes to images. Microsoft Word gives you a little bit more flexibility in how you can present these images. So double check, for example, here it looks like this image is moved off to the side, so you need to go through and look and make sure everything is presentable, make sure it's looking as you wish, and once you've done that, that's basically it. You can save this document as Microsoft Word onto a CD that will be turned in later on. But I wanted to bring this to your attention. How to bring this into Microsoft Word is fairly easy. More importantly, looking at these formatting changes that I mentioned as far as centering the headings and spacing between paragraphs and between headings and a couple other small things. So if you do have any questions, feel free to contact me. You can send me an email on Canvas, or you can come by my office if we need to look at something. Please refrain from moving your document to Microsoft Word until the very end.